Hi there guys, Office Boy Builder here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are well. In today's episode, let me turn these on. We are going to be plasterboarding this wall here behind me. You hopefully will have seen in the last episode that I was stripping it all off. It was a bit of a time-lapse heavy one, but you'll see all the way up there, I've stripped all of that. And in today's episode, what I'm going to be doing is covering it all. Now, I want to show you some bits about this wall and I'll talk you through how crazy it is. This house is a 1920s build, so it's almost 1920s, 1930s. I think this house was built about 1926. So it is coming up to its 100th birthday. That is not inconsequential. And also the other thing that you've got to remember, in this part of England, this part of London, when they were building these houses, we had a huge housing boom, and prior to this, pretty much all of the land that I live on, or the area that we live in, was either agricultural or woodland, and they were just building these things as quick as they possibly could. And because of that, when I've been renovating this, and something that you may want to consider in these kind of 1930s semi-detached properties in London, there are some sneaky things that, or some kind of bad things that you find that you just have to accept and suck up and deal with. And that's a bit of the kind of voyage of discovery that I've been on with this place. And I want to show you a couple of these things. I'm going to spin you around now. I've got my spirit level here. I want to show you some stuff which, if I was building this today, I would get nothing but grief if I built this in the way that it was built. And I would hope that whoever built this got the same amount of grief as I would expect to receive. And then they've covered it. So let me spin you around and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. This is a spirit level made by Stabilia. It's very good and it works. It does come level. Now, if you look down here, you will see behind this skirting board, there is a very, very thin amount of lime and horsehair render there. Okay? Remember how thick that is. That is possibly half a thumb knuckle, right? Or the thickness of my finger, give or take. Okay? Now you follow you all the way up the wall and look at the thickness of this here. This is as thick as the width of my thumb. It is super, super thick there. Now, if I hold this spirit level and I push it right up against the wall here, right? If I follow this up here, that is plumb. Look how far away from the wall I am. I am 2 knuckles worth of finger away. That is how out of level the wall is at this point here. If I then move to this point here, it's much closer. It's 1 knuckles worth away. And then when I come to this point here, it's then in level, touching. But would you say that's touching? Would you be happy with that flat brick there? Look, I mean, look at this. Look at the gap all the way there. Then it touches, then it's out, and it's level again. So I don't know who built this or how, but it's a banana here. And you can see like the brickwork, right? Touches at the bottom, touches at the top, and then is out in the middle, and even that isn't plumb. It's all over the place, and that's why they put such a thick coat of horsehair and lime render, effectively. They knew that they were building these at such speed that they would never be able to get them, well, at the speed they were building them, they were basically kind of almost training apprentices using these houses to build. And then they'd hide stuff. So you can actually see down here, right? If you look at the thickness of that beam, right? Look at the width of the Stabilia there. And then you look down here, look at the trim, it goes almost to nothing. I can't even get the Stabilia, well, won't even fit in this way, let alone this way, like that. So they would hide it with trim, and they would pack out, and they would have gone more and more and thicker up here, as you can see, coming up to this point. So that makes it really fun for me now, having stripped it. I mean, I didn't even have to work that hard. This stuff jumped off the wall in the last episode. It took me about an hour and a half to strip the vast majority of this. What I'm going to be doing now is dot and dab plasterboard work to pack this out and to adhere back on. I'm going to spray the whole wall down again. It's very, very dry brick. It's, like I said, 100 years old, lime and horsehair render. So it's very, very dry at the minute. Lots of sand in that mix with the lime. So I'm going to douse the whole thing down. And actually what I'm going to do, I saw a slightly different technique for dot and dab, which I'm really interested to try. I've not done it before, and I'm really curious about how it works using expanding foam. So I ended up just with tons of expanding foam left after the build that I'd done. I ended up with about 6 or 7 cans left over that I didn't need, but I've kept them because they're useful to have. And I'm going to have a go at applying dot and dab with this. Expanding foam sticks to brick nicely. It sticks to plasterboard very well. So I'm going to set you up on another time lapse, and I've got a little bit of clearing up to do here. I'm going to rip off this skirting board because we're going to put a unit in here, and I'll put a new skirting back on anyway that matches. So once I've tidied this up, I'm going to stick you on a time lapse, and we're going to expanding foam and onto the back of the plasterboard, and then we're going to stick it on here and get it nice and level. I'll be doing it slightly thicker at the top, a bit thinner at the bottom, full coverage. And yeah, I am not going to be making up this fully plumb. It's just not going to happen, because if I did go fully plumb here, at this point here, I would actually be halfway into the picture rail up there, as you can see. So I can't. I'm going to land just in under here, and I know that the wall isn't completely plumb after that, and I'm perfectly fine with that. You have to make trade-offs. You've got to make concessions in different areas. I fully accept that it will not be plumb, and that's fine. But it will be flat, and it will be smooth, and it will look really nice. And then we'll get it skimmed and painted and decorated and all the rest of it. So I'm going to get a bit of tidying up done. I'll stick you on a time lapse, and I'll show you what it is I'm doing. You'll have seen in the time lapse that I just chased out a little bit. I've sunk those in. I've left the surface mounted back boxes. They're fine, I don't mind them. There's going to be units in front of this anyway, so it's not the end of the world. They'll effectively be contained inside a unit. I'm going to be spraying down the wall now just to basically take some of the dryness out, or to add moisture in, I should say. And actually that helps when you're using expanding foam. I've got this stuff here by Soudal, which I think is a really great brand. Stixall is also good. I think Everbuild is good as well, but I've got this Soudal stuff, and because I think it has a polyurethane base to it. So I think it's got polyurethane in it. It actually gets activated and set off by water. So what you would want to do is spray this down and make sure that this surface is nice and wet, or at least not bone dry. Leave this side dry, put your expanding foam on, leave it for about 5 minutes, and then you can get it stuck up there. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to offer it up and mark up where my boxes are, cut out those holes, and then I'll offer it up again and test and see. And then I'm going to apply a liberal amount of expanding foam. The other thing I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to put some expanding foam down here, just to stop any draft that might come up from underneath the floor. It's just extra insulation, isn't it? So you'll probably end up back on a time lapse. That's the plan of attack. So you'll have seen I've put that up, and I did do a little bit of extra expanding foam on the edges. I've left it for probably 30 minutes now, just coming back, and I am really surprised at how solid and stable that is. One downside, which I can't change about it, is I was hoping to pack out this top bit a little bit more. I would have liked to bring that out slightly, and I haven't been able to. So it does have a bit more of a lean on it than I wanted. I was hoping to pull that out slightly. You can see that the line down at the bottom here, there, is pretty even actually the whole way up, but then is slightly depressed here, and I was hoping to pull that out. And with dot and dab, it's much, much easier to do that. It's far easier to, put bigger dabs and littler dabs, and then, squidge it all in. You can't really do that with the expanding foam in the same way. So that's the only downside that I would say with that, but it's a heck of a lot quicker. I'm very, very pleased with how quick that is. So I'll just cut this other sheet and stick it on here, and kind of that'll be that really. It doesn't take too long. I'm quite pleased with how fast it goes up. Okay, second sheet is on. You'll have seen it in the time lapse. I gave a healthy spray on the wall and on the back of the board. And I wet the board and I wet the wall this time, hoping that that'll help it set up quicker. I tell you, I'm probably gonna, so I've done nearly two cans now of expanding foam. It's not a bad method, but I think you have to have perfectly flat, straight walls. And the only thing that you would be doing is just sticking a flat, straight board onto a flat, straight wall. In that instance, I think it would be, it's a great, quick method. In my case, where I've got, you know, quite undulating walls with different depths of brick, as you can just see in this shot here, it's just a bit of a faff, to be honest. And I actually want the kind of the suction and the grab that you get with, you know, the drywall adhesive that you can mix up. You can mix it lean, you can mix it a bit sloppy, whatever you really want. So now I'm having to sit here and just wait for, you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I don't know, until this stops. Because when I let go, I can feel and I can see the squeeze out there, and I don't want that. So I don't know, I'm going to sit here. I've got this lot propped with a heavy door. I'm not going to sit here for ages, but I want to try and get as much of this adhesion as I can.